My daughter told me I was too embarrassing to attend her wedding. I sat there in my $12 Walmart khakis, listening to Madison explain why her poor father couldn't be seen at her elite ceremony. The irony almost made me smile. Almost. "Dad, you understand, right?" she said, not meeting my eyes. "These people have standards. The Richards family, they're different from us." I nodded slowly, took a sip of my gas station coffee. "Of course, sweetheart. I understand completely." She looked relieved, gave me that patronizing pat on the shoulder she'd perfected over the past year. "You're the best, Dad. I knew you'd get it." After she left in her Tesla, I sat alone in my studio apartment. Then I made a phone call that would change everything. What Madison didn't know was that I'd been testing her for 18 months, and she'd just failed spectacularly. The poverty test started 3 years ago, right after her mother died. I'd sold my tech company, Dataflow Systems, for $50 million in 2019. But watching Madison's personality shift as her social circle grew more elite made me nervous. So I decided to see who my daughter really was when she thought I had nothing to offer. I moved out of our Malibu house into an $850 a month studio in Burbank, traded my Tesla for a 2008 Honda Civic with 180,000 miles, started shopping at Walmart instead of Nordstrom. The performance was flawless. Madison's transformation was gradual, but obvious. At first, she just seemed concerned. "Dad, are you okay financially? Do you need help?" I played the part perfectly. "Oh, you know how it is after the divorce settlement and funeral costs. I'm managing." She bought it completely. And that's when her behavior started changing. The first red flag came at her engagement party last February. I showed up in my Target polo shirt and those Walmart khakis. Madison practically dragged me into a corner. "Dad, what are you wearing?" "Clothes?" I said, genuinely confused by her tone. "Those aren't appropriate for this crowd." I looked around the room. Her fiancé Derek's family was there, the Richards, who owned a chain of luxury hotels worth about $200 million. Old money, the kind of people who measured worth by which prep school you attended. "I think I look fine, honey." Madison's face flushed. "Dad, please, just try to stay near the kitchen area, okay? And maybe don't mention your apartment." The irony was almost funny, if it wasn't so heartbreaking. Over the next few months, the requests escalated. Could I not attend the engagement dinner? Would I mind skipping the dress rehearsal? Each time, Madison had a reason. "The venue has a dress code, Dad. It's really just for the wedding party." The Richards are very traditional about these things. I played along, smiled, nodded, said I understood. Meanwhile, I was documenting everything. Recording our phone calls with a legal app my lawyer friend James Wilson had recommended. "You might want evidence someday," James had said after overhearing one of Madison's more cruel conversations. "This isn't normal daughter behavior, Robert." The final straw came 3 weeks ago. Madison called while I was sitting in my Honda outside a grocery store. I could hear her friends laughing in the background. Her new crowd of trust fund wives and investment banker spouses. "Dad, I need to talk to you about something important." "Of course. What's on your mind?" "It's about the wedding." I waited. Let the silence stretch. I'd learned that silence made people reveal their true thoughts. "The thing is, Derek's family is paying for everything. The Ritz-Carlton ballroom, the flowers, the photographer, everything's first class. That's generous of them." "It is. But Dad, they have certain expectations about the guest list." More silence. "What I'm trying to say is, maybe it would be better if you didn't come." I felt something cold settle in my chest. "I see." "It's not personal, Dad. It's just, you know how you are about fancy places. Remember how uncomfortable you were at the country club? You kept asking about prices and complaining about the portions." That was true. I had played the overwhelmed poor father perfectly at the Richards Country Club, made jokes about $20 cocktails and tiny appetizers. The performance had been flawless. "I don't want you to feel out of place," Madison continued. "These people, they're different from us. They notice things." "What kind of things?" "Your clothes, your car, the way you talk about money." Her voice dropped, like she was sharing a secret. "Derek's mother actually asked who you were when she saw you at the engagement party. She said you look like, well, like the help." "The help?" My own daughter was telling me that her future in-laws mistook me for hired staff. I should have been furious. Any normal father would have exploded, would have reminded his daughter about college tuition payments and years of sacrifice, would have demanded respect. Instead, I smiled, because I suddenly realized exactly how this story was going to end. "You're right, sweetheart," I said quietly. "I wouldn't want to embarrass you." "Really? You're not upset?" "Of course not. I want your wedding day to be perfect." The relief in her voice was obvious. "Oh, Dad, thank you for understanding. You're the best. I knew you'd get it." After I hung up, I sat in my Honda for 20 minutes. Then I called James Wilson. "She doesn't want me at the wedding," I told him. "Jesus, Robert, I'm sorry." "Don't be. She just made this very simple for me." "What do you mean?" I started the Honda's engine. "I mean my daughter is about to learn a very expensive lesson about judging people by their appearance." The irony was about to become hilarious. The cruelest conversation happened 2 weeks later. Madison called while I was reviewing my stock portfolio, $15.2 million across various investments. The contrast wasn't lost on me. "Dad, we need to set some ground rules." I minimized my Charles Schwab account window. "What kind of rules?" "About the wedding weekend. Even though you're not coming to the ceremony, Derek's family will be all over town. They're staying at the Four Seasons, having dinner at Spago, shopping on Rodeo Drive." "Okay. The thing is, it would be really awkward if you ran into them." "Like, really awkward." I said nothing. Let her keep talking. "So, I was thinking, maybe you could visit your cousin in Arizona that weekend? Make it like a little vacation." "You want me to leave town during your wedding?" "Just for a few days, Friday through Monday. The Richards have a lot of out-of-town guests, and they'll be everywhere. The last thing we need is some uncomfortable encounter where you feel judged." The manipulation was masterful. She was framing banishment as protection for my feelings. "Madison, can I ask you something?" "Of course. When did you start being ashamed of me?" Silence. Then, "Dad, that's not fair." "I'm not ashamed. I'm being practical. These people have standards that we're just not used to." "Standards?" "Yes. And before you get all defensive, it's not about being better or worse. It's just different. Derek's grandfather started the Richards Hotel Group in 1952. His mother went to Wellesley. They summer in the Hamptons. And I shop at Walmart." "Exactly. See? You get it." I didn't respond. She kept talking, filling the silence with justifications. "It's not personal, Dad. If Mom were still alive, she'd understand. She always knew how to dress for occasions. Remember her cocktail parties? She had class. The mention of my late wife, her mother hit like a physical blow. Your mother had class because she was kind to everyone," I said quietly. "Rich or poor." "That's not what I meant. Isn't it?" Another pause. When Madison spoke again, her voice had an edge. "Look, Dad, I know this is hard for you. But I've worked really hard to get where I am. My marketing job, my relationship with Derek, my place in this social circle. I can't let anything jeopardize that." "Anything. Like your father." "You're twisting my words." "Am I?" "Yes. I'm trying to protect both of us. Do you know what it was like at the engagement party? Patricia Richards pulled me aside and asked about your situation. She wanted to know if you needed financial assistance. It was humiliating. For you or for me? For both of us." Madison's voice rose. "Don't you see? When they look at you, they see someone who couldn't provide for his daughter, someone who failed." The word failed hung in the air between us. "I see," I said. "I knew you'd understand. That's why I love you, Dad. You're not like other parents who make everything about themselves." I almost laughed. She was praising me for accepting my own exile. "So you'll go to Arizona?" "Actually, I have a better idea." "What's that?" "I'll stay home. Keep a low profile. You won't have to worry about any embarrassing encounters." "Really? You'd do that?" "Of course. I want your wedding to be perfect." "Oh, Dad, you're amazing. Derek is so lucky to have you as a father-in-law." Except Derek barely knew I existed. Madison had introduced me exactly once, during a brief, awkward encounter where she rushed through my name and immediately changed the subject. "There's just one more thing," Madison said. "What's that?" "If anyone asks about you, that weekend where you are, why you're not there, what should I tell them?" I considered this. "What would you like to tell them?" "Honestly, I was thinking I'd say you had to work. Or maybe that you're not feeling well. Something that doesn't make it seem like, like what? Like we don't get along. Or like there's family drama. The Richards hate drama. Of course they do. So you're okay with that? If I tell people you couldn't make it due to work or health? I was quiet for a long moment. Madison, can I tell you something? Sure. Your mother would be very disappointed in both of us right now. What do you mean? Nothing. Forget I said anything. Tell the Richards whatever makes you comfortable. After I hung up, I sat staring at my phone for a full minute. Then I opened my laptop and began typing an email to Patricia Richards. The subject line read, Robert Davis, father of the bride. I had Patricia's email because she'd actually reached out to me 2 months ago. She'd found my Forbes 40 Under 40 article from 2018 and wanted to discuss business opportunities. I'd politely deflected, maintaining my cover. But now it was time for Patricia Richards to know exactly who she'd been dealing with. The wedding was in 10 days. Madison had no idea that her future mother-in-law and I had already been corresponding, or that the anonymous benefactor who'd upgraded her wedding package was sitting in a studio apartment, wearing Walmart clothes, planning the most educational weekend of her life. That night, I sat in my small apartment looking at photos of Madison as a child. Her first day of kindergarten, her high school graduation, her college send-off to UCLA, where I'd paid $280,000 in tuition and expenses over 4 years. In every photo, she was smiling, happy, proud to be my daughter. When had that changed? When had I become someone to hide? I opened my laptop and pulled up my financial statements. Charles Schwab account, $15.2 million. Wells Fargo, checking $2.8 million. The Malibu house I'd quietly kept, now worth $4.1 million after renovations. The vacation rental in Aspen, $1.9 million. Total net worth, approximately $24 million. My poor daughter was about to marry into money, while actively rejecting the father, who'd already made more than her future in-laws ever would. I opened a new browser tab and searched for Data Flow Systems Acquisition 2019. The TechCrunch article popped up immediately. Enterprise software giant, acquired for $50 million by Oracle. There was my photo. Robert Davis, founder and CEO. The article detailed my background. MIT graduate, former Google engineer, serial entrepreneur. It mentioned my previous exits. 2 smaller companies sold for $8 million and $12 million respectively. I'd built 3 successful tech companies. I held patents on database optimization systems. I'd been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur magazine, and the Wall Street Journal, and my daughter thought I was too embarrassing to attend her wedding. I picked up my phone and called James Wilson. Robert? It's late. Everything okay? James, I need a favor. Name it. I want you to do something that might seem crazy. I'm listening. I want you to contact the wedding planner for Madison's ceremony. Tell them you represent an anonymous benefactor who wants to cover any remaining expenses. Anonymous benefactor? Madison's been worried about money. The Richards are paying for most of it, but she's been stressed about the flowers, the photographer, little details. I want everything upgraded. Best of everything. Robert, that's generous, but I'm not being generous. I'm setting a trap. Silence on the other end. The catch is this. You're going to let it slip to the wedding planner that the benefactor will be attending the ceremony. Someone important. Someone who needs to be seated appropriately. Who? Me. But Madison doesn't want you there. Exactly. She's going to be confused when the wedding planner starts asking about seating arrangements for her mystery guest. She'll investigate. She'll ask questions. And right about the time she figures out something's wrong, I'm going to show up. Show up how? I walked to my closet and pushed aside the Walmart clothes. In the back, still in dry cleaning bags, hung my real wardrobe. Armani suits? Custom shirts from Savile Row. Italian leather shoes that cost more than most people's monthly rent. James, do you remember what I wore to the Oracle acquisition announcement? The navy Armani suit. You looked like $1 million. $50 million, actually. I pulled the suit out and held it up. I'm going to remind Madison who her father really is. And if she throws you out, she won't. Because I'm going to wait until the perfect moment, when she can't make a scene, when she has to choose between public humiliation and private acknowledgement. The ceremony? The reception. During the father-daughter dance she thinks isn't happening. James was quiet for a moment. Robert, are you sure about this? Once you reveal everything, there's no going back. Your relationship with Madison. My relationship with Madison ended the day she decided I was too poor to love. That's harsh. Is it? James, I raised that girl alone after her mother died. I paid for everything. College, her car, her apartment deposit when she moved to LA. I gave her everything she needed to succeed. And the moment she didn't need me anymore, I became an embarrassment. Maybe she's just going through a phase. Young people get caught up in... No, my voice was firm. This isn't a phase. This is who she's chosen to be. And it's time she learned there are consequences for that choice. I hung up and walked to my bathroom mirror. The man looking back wore an $8 Target polo shirt and needed a haircut. But underneath the costume was someone Madison had forgotten. Someone the Richards family was about to remember. I picked up my phone and started typing a text to Madison. Hope wedding planning is going well. Love you. She responded immediately. Love you too, Dad. Thanks for being so understanding. Understanding, right? Tomorrow, I was going to start being a lot less understanding. The first sign something was changing came 3 days later. Madison called, confused and slightly panicked. Dad, the weirdest thing happened with the wedding planner. I was sitting in my Honda outside a Starbucks, reviewing my investment portfolio on my phone. What kind of weird? She called this morning about upgrading our photographer package. Apparently someone contacted her office about covering the additional costs for premium services. That's nice. Derek's family? That's what I thought, but she said it wasn't them. Someone else. Someone who specifically requested the platinum package for everything. Flowers, photography, videography, even the catering got upgraded. I took a sip of my coffee. Sounds like you have a secret admirer. Dad, we're talking about $30,000 in upgrades. The photographer alone went from basic coverage to a full team with drone footage and same-day editing. Who has that kind of money to throw around? Maybe a business contact of Derek's? I asked him. He's as confused as I am. Madison's voice had an edge of anxiety. The wedding planner keeps asking about seating arrangements for this special guest. She says whoever's paying specifically requested to be seated at a place of honor. Mysterious. It's more than mysterious, Dad. It's making me nervous. What if this person expects something in return? What if they show up and expect recognition? The Richards don't like surprises. I almost smiled. Madison was learning that free money always came with strings attached. I'm sure it's nothing to worry about. Easy for you to say. You don't have to deal with Patricia Richards asking 20 questions about our family connections and whether we properly vetted our guest list. Patricia asked about family connections? She's very protective of the Richards' reputation. Apparently, they've had issues in the past with people trying to use their events for social climbing or business networking. The irony was delicious. Patricia Richards was worried about social climbers, while her future daughter-in-law was actively hiding her father to maintain appearances. What did you tell her? That we don't know who it is either. Which is true, but makes us look like we're not in control of our own wedding. Maybe you should just accept the gifts gracefully. Accept them? Dad, this person could be anyone. What if they're expecting a speech? What if they want to make some kind of announcement? What if they're completely inappropriate for the crowd? I paused. What makes someone inappropriate for your crowd, Madison? You know what I mean. The Richards have a certain standard. Their friends are CEOs, hedge fund managers, old California families. If some random person shows up expecting VIP treatment, it could be embarrassing. Exactly. Like having your father there. Long silence. Dad, that's not the same thing. Isn't it? You're worried about someone showing up who doesn't fit your image. Someone who might embarrass you in front of people who matter. It's completely different. You're family. I love you, but this mystery person, they could be anyone. True. They could be anyone. That afternoon, James Wilson called with an update. The wedding planner is fully on board. She's upgraded everything and marked the seating chart for a VIP guest at the head table. Perfect. Robert, she also mentioned that Madison has been calling repeatedly, trying to get more information about the benefactor. What did she tell her? only that it's someone with significant financial resources who specifically requested to attend the ceremony. Someone who appreciates quality celebrations. And Madison's response? Panic. She's worried about the unknown variable. Apparently, she's been grilling Derek's family about their business connections, trying to figure out who might have this kind of money. I laughed. She's trying to identify someone wealthy enough to drop $30,000 on a wedding upgrade. The guest list includes some serious money. Tech executives, real estate developers, investment bankers, any one of them could afford it. But none of them would randomly upgrade a stranger's wedding. Exactly. Which is driving Madison crazy. That evening, Madison called again. Dad, I need to ask you something, and I want a straight answer. Of course. Do you know anyone with serious money? Anyone from your past who might do something like this? I considered my answer carefully. Why would anyone I know care about your wedding? I don't know. Maybe someone you worked with? An old boss? Or colleague? Madison, I've been a mid-level systems analyst my whole career. The people I know shop at Costco and drive Toyotas. It wasn't technically a lie. I had been a systems analyst 25 years ago before I started my first company. I know. It's just the wedding planner keeps hinting that this person specifically asked about the Davis family, like they know us. Maybe they know Derek's family and got the names confused. Maybe. She didn't sound convinced. Dad, can I ask you something else? Sure. If someone you knew had this kind of money, would you have told me? I thought about my Charles Schwab statements, my stock options, my real estate portfolio, about the Forbes articles and TechCrunch features Madison had never bothered to Google. Honey, if I knew anyone with $30,000 to spend on someone else's wedding, don't you think I'd be asking them for help with my own finances? Madison laughed for the first time in the conversation. True. God, can you imagine if we actually knew someone rich? Maybe then I wouldn't have to stress about money all the time. Maybe. Anyway, I should go. Derek wants to have dinner with his parents to discuss the mystery guest situation. Patricia is convinced it's some business contact trying to network through our wedding. Good luck with that. After she hung up, I opened my laptop and began composing an email to the Four Seasons concierge. I had a reservation to make. The Richards family was about to meet their mystery guest, and Madison was about to learn that sometimes the people you dismiss are the ones with the most surprises. 2 days before the wedding, Madison showed up at my apartment unannounced. I was reading the Wall Street Journal online when she knocked. Quickly, I minimized the browser and opened a free news site instead. Madison, what are you doing here? She pushed past me into the small space, her eyes scanning everything like she was seeing it for the first time, which in many ways she was. She'd visited exactly twice in 18 months. Dad, we need to talk. Of course. Coffee? No. She was pacing now, which was difficult in a 400-square-foot studio. Something's not right. I sat on my second-hand couch and waited. I've been thinking about this mystery benefactor situation, and none of it makes sense. How so? $30,000, Dad. Someone spent $30,000 on my wedding without asking for anything in return. People don't do that. Maybe they're just generous. Nobody's that generous to strangers. She stopped pacing and looked directly at me. Unless they're not strangers. I kept my expression neutral. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that maybe this person knows our family better than we think. Madison, I've told you. I know what you told me. But I started thinking about Mom. My chest tightened. What about her? She had friends from college. Sorority sisters who married well. What if one of them remembered you after she died? What if they wanted to do something nice for her daughter? It was a reasonable theory. Linda had indeed kept in touch with several wealthy friends from her USC days. That's possible, I said. So I called them. All of them. I felt a chill. And none of them know anything about wedding upgrades. But something interesting happened when I was talking to Jennifer Morrison. You remember her? The one who married the tech guy? I remembered Jennifer very well. She'd attended Linda's funeral and spent 10 minutes asking about my business ventures. At the time, I'd deflected her questions. What did Jennifer say? She asked about you, specifically about what you've been doing since Dataflow. The blood in my veins turned to ice. Since what? Madison was staring at me intently now. Dataflow, Dad. Jennifer said she remembered Mom mentioning that you worked for some tech company called Dataflow. I forced my expression to remain confused. I think Jennifer might be mixing me up with someone else. That's what I thought. But then she said something weird. She said she was pretty sure you were more involved than just working there, like you had some kind of leadership role. Madison, I've never worked for any company called Dataflow. The lie came easily, because technically, I'd never worked for Dataflow Systems. I'd owned it. I know. That's what I told her. But Dad? Madison sat down across from me. What if someone's playing games with us? What if this mysterious benefactor is someone who thinks they know our family but has us confused with someone else? What kind of games? I don't know, but Patricia Richards is asking questions. She wants to know who this person is before they show up at her son's wedding, and if we can't answer her questions. What? She's talking about hiring security to screen any uninvited guests. I almost laughed. Patricia Richards was planning to have me screened by security at my own daughter's wedding. That seems extreme. The Richards don't take chances with their reputation. If someone shows up claiming to be our mystery benefactor and they can't verify their identity, they'll be removed. Exactly. Madison looked genuinely worried now. Dad, what if this whole thing backfires? What if whoever's doing this causes a scene? The Richards will blame us for not having control over our guest list. I reached over and patted her hand. Sweetheart, I'm sure everything will work out fine. How can you be so calm about this? Because worrying won't change anything. Whatever happens at your wedding, we'll deal with it. Madison looked at me for a long moment. Sometimes I forget how strong you are, Dad. Even when everything's uncertain, you just handle it. I learned that from your mother. She smiled for the first time since arriving. She always said you were the most quietly confident person she'd ever met. Quietly confident. If only Madison knew how confident I was feeling about Saturday. The day before the wedding, Madison's social media strategy went into overdrive. I discovered this when James Wilson called, laughing. Robert, you need to see Madison's Instagram story. I don't follow my daughter's Instagram. You should start. She's conducting a masterclass in damage control. I opened the app and found Madison's profile. Her latest story was a series of perfectly curated posts about her intimate family wedding. Photos of her dress, the flowers, shots of the Ritz-Carlton ballroom during setup. But what caught my attention were the captions. So grateful for Derek's family stepping in to make our dream wedding possible. Sometimes the people who matter most are the ones who show up when you need them. Keeping things simple and elegant, just our closest friends and family who've been part of our journey. No surprises, no drama, just love. Dad couldn't make it due to health issues, but he's celebrating with us in spirit. Sometimes love means making sacrifices for the people you care about. Health issues. Madison was telling her 3,000 followers that I was too sick to attend her wedding. I screenshotted everything and texted it to James. His response was immediate. She's setting up alibis in case anyone asks where you are. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Derek. Mr. Davis? This is Derek Richards. I'd spoken to my future son-in-law exactly 3 times in 2 years. Each conversation lasted less than 5 minutes. Derek, how are you holding up before the big day? Actually, sir, that's why I'm calling. Madison mentioned you're not feeling well. Oh, right. I wanted you to know that if you change your mind, if you're feeling better tomorrow, there's absolutely a place for you at our wedding. This was interesting. Derek was directly contradicting his fiancée's wishes. That's very kind of you. Madison sometimes gets stressed about these family events. She wants everything perfect. But you're her father. You should be there if you want to be. What does your family think about that? My parents are excited to meet you properly. My mother especially. She's been asking about you since the engagement party. Patricia Richards had been asking about me. I wondered what exactly she'd been asking. Has she now? She mentioned that you seemed interesting when you met briefly. She'd like to know more about your background. My background? Your work history, your interests. Mom's very social. She likes to find common ground with everyone. I almost laughed. Patricia Richards was about to find some very expensive common ground. I'd be happy to chat with her sometime. Actually, she suggested that if you're feeling better tomorrow, maybe you could stop by the reception, even if you miss the ceremony. Stop by? Just for a drink, to meet the family properly. Madison's been so busy with wedding planning, I don't think she's realized how important it is to my parents that they get to know you. This was fascinating. Derek's family wanted to meet me, but Madison had told them I couldn't attend due to health issues. The contradiction was about to create problems. Derek, what exactly did Madison tell your parents about why I'm not coming? She said you've been dealing with some ongoing health issues and didn't want to risk being around large crowds. Health issues and crowd sensitivity. Madison was painting me as immunocompromised and anxious. I see. But if you're feeling up to it, even a brief appearance would mean a lot. Especially to my mother. She's very big on family connections. After I hung up, I called James immediately. Change of plans. Derek just invited me to the reception. What? Madison told her fiancé I have health issues, but Derek's family wants to meet me anyway. They're expecting me to potentially show up for drinks. This is getting complicated. It's getting perfect. Madison has boxed herself into a corner. She's told 2 different stories to 2 different audiences. Her social media followers think I'm too sick to attend. Derek's family thinks I might show up if I'm feeling better. What happens when those stories collide? That's exactly what I want to find out. That evening, I did something I hadn't done in 18 months. I went to a high-end salon in Beverly Hills, got a proper haircut, had my nails done, scheduled a professional shave for the next morning. Then I drove to my storage unit and retrieved the rest of my real wardrobe. The Armani suit was perfect. But I was thinking bigger now. I was thinking about the Brioni tuxedo I'd worn to the Oracle acquisition dinner, the one that cost more than Madison's monthly rent. Tomorrow, my daughter was going to learn that sometimes the people you dismiss are the ones with the biggest surprises. And Patricia Richards was going to get the family connection she'd been asking for. Saturday morning, I woke up in my real bedroom for the first time in 18 months. The Malibu house felt strange after so long in the studio apartment, but familiar in a way that reminded me who I actually was. I spread everything out on my dining room table like a prosecutor preparing for trial. Financial documents first. Charles Schwab portfolio statements showing $15.2 million in stocks and bonds. Wells Fargo accounts with $2.8 million in liquid assets. The property deeds for this house, $4.1 million current value, and the Aspen rental, $1.9 million. Then the business records. Dataflow Systems Incorporation papers from 2008. The Oracle acquisition agreement, $50 million cash. Finalized March 15, 2019. Employee stock option distributions. Patents filed under my name for database optimization algorithms. Media coverage came next. The Forbes 40 Under 40 article from 2018, featuring a full-page profile about my innovative approach to enterprise data management. The TechCrunch piece about the acquisition, with quotes from Oracle executives calling Dataflow a game-changing addition to our enterprise solutions portfolio. But the most damaging evidence was digital. 18 months of recorded phone conversations with Madison. I'd used a legal call recording app that James recommended, clearly announced recordings at the beginning of each call as required by California law. Madison's voice, crystal clear. Dad, you'll ruin everything. These people have standards. Can't you just pretend to be sick or something? I worked too hard to let you embarrass me now. When they look at you, they see someone who couldn't provide for his daughter. Someone who failed. Failed. That word still stung. I opened my laptop and created a presentation. Not a PowerPoint something classier. A simple PDF with clean typography and high-resolution images. Slide 1. My LinkedIn profile as CEO of Dataflow Systems, with 15,000 connections and recommendations from Oracle executives. Slide 2. The Forbes article highlighting my MIT engineering degree and previous startup exits. Slide 3. Financial overview, net worth breakdown with official bank letterhead. Slide 4. Timeline of Madison's education expenses. $280,000 for UCLA, $45,000 for her car, $12,000 apartment deposit, monthly support payments, totaling $156,000 over 4 years. Slide 5. A side-by-side comparison. Left side, photos of me in Walmart. Clothes at Madison's engagement party. Right side, photos from the Oracle acquisition announcement. Me in a $6,000 Brioni suit, shaking hands with Oracle's CEO. Slide 6. Screenshots of Madison's Instagram stories from yesterday, claiming I was too sick to attend due to health issues. The final slide was a single sentence. Character isn't about what you have. It's about how you treat people when you think they have nothing. I printed 20 copies on premium paper, slipped them into elegant folders, each one addressed to a different family at the wedding. Then I got dressed. The Brioni tuxedo fit perfectly. Italian silk, custom tailored in 2019 for the Oracle celebration dinner. The Patek Philippe watch, $45,000. A gift to myself after the acquisition closed. Italian leather shoes that cost more than Madison's monthly car payment. I looked in the mirror and saw Robert Davis, tech executive. Not Robert Davis, embarrassing poor father. My phone buzzed. A text from Madison. Wish you were here, Dad. The ceremony is beautiful. Love you. She was texting me during her own wedding ceremony. Probably during a brief pause before vows. I responded, Love you too. Enjoy every moment. Another text. I keep thinking about you sitting alone in your apartment. This doesn't feel right. Guilt. Interesting. Madison was having second thoughts while standing at the altar. Don't worry about me. This is your day. After the honeymoon, let's spend more time together. I miss our relationship. Our relationship. The one where she was ashamed of me and asked me to leave town during her wedding weekend. I pocketed the phone and picked up my evidence folders. The ceremony would be ending soon. Cocktail hour at the Ritz-Carlton would begin in 30 minutes. I had specifically timed my arrival for maximum impact. Not during the ceremony, that would be cruel and disruptive. But during the reception, when guests were relaxed and social. When Patricia Richards would be introducing people and making connections. When Madison would be surrounded by everyone who mattered to her new life. I drove the Tesla I'd kept in my Malibu garage. Hadn't driven it in 18 months, but it started perfectly. The contrast with my Honda Civic would be noted by everyone who'd seen me before. As I pulled into the Ritz-Carlton valet area, I saw the wedding party posing for photos in the garden. Madison looked beautiful in her $8,000 dress. Derek looked nervous but happy. Both families were laughing and celebrating. They had no idea their guest of honor had just arrived. The Ritz-Carlton ballroom was magnificent. 200 guests in evening wear, crystal chandeliers, white roses everywhere. Madison had gotten her perfect wedding. I walked through the lobby in my $6,000 Brioni tuxedo, and the transformation was immediate. Staff members straightened up, made eye contact, offered assistance. The same building where I'd been dismissed as help 18 months ago now treated me like royalty. Good evening, sir. Are you here for the Richards-Davis wedding? I am. Robert Davis, father of the bride. The maitre d' checked his list, looking confused. I don't see you on the seating chart, Mr. Davis. Check under VIP guest, anonymous benefactor. His eyes widened. Of course, sir. Right this way. I was seated at the head table, exactly where I'd requested. 2 seats down from Patricia Richards, with a clear view of Madison's table. The shock on faces was instantaneous. Wedding guests who'd seen me at the engagement party did double takes. Some whispered to their companions, pointing discreetly. But the real impact came when Patricia Richards noticed me. My God, Robert! She was staring at me like I'd materialized from thin air, which, in a way, I had. Hello, Patricia. Beautiful ceremony. But how... Madison said you were ill. I got better. Patricia looked stunning in her mother of the groom outfit, but her expression was pure confusion. You look different. I cleaned up. Derek appeared at my shoulder, beaming. Mr. Davis, you made it. I'm so glad you were feeling better. Other guests were starting to notice the commotion. Madison was across the room taking photos with her bridesmaids, oblivious to my arrival. Patricia, I said quietly, we should probably talk before Madison sees me. Yes, absolutely. She was still staring at my clothes, my watch, my general transformation. Robert, I have to ask, are you the anonymous benefactor? I smiled. Guilty as charged. But how... The wedding upgrades cost $30,000. It was worth every penny to see my daughter happy. Patricia's expression shifted from confusion to calculation. She was a smart woman, and she was rapidly reassessing everything she thought she knew about Madison's family. Robert, I owe you an apology. When we met at the engagement party, I'm afraid I made some assumptions. You assumed I was poor. Yes, your clothes, your car. I understand completely. Appearances can be deceiving. Derek was listening to this exchange with growing confusion. Dad, what's going on? What assumptions? Before Patricia could answer, I reached into my jacket and pulled out one of the evidence folders. Patricia, I think there are some things you should know about tonight. She opened the folder and her face went white. The Forbes article, the financial statements, the Oracle acquisition announcement. Jesus Christ, she whispered. You're the Dataflow founder. Guilty again. Derek leaned over to look. Dataflow? Dad, what's Dataflow? Patricia handed him the folder with trembling hands. Dataflow Systems. Your future father-in-law sold it to Oracle for $50 million. The blood drained from Derek's face. $50 million? That's just one company, I said quietly. There were 2 others before that. A crowd was starting to gather around our table, wedding guests sensing drama drawn by Patricia's shocked expression and Derek's obvious distress. Mr. Davis, Derek said slowly, if you have this kind of money, why were you dressed like what? Like someone who couldn't afford to be here, I smiled, because I wanted to see who my daughter really was when she thought I had nothing to offer. The pieces were clicking together in Derek's mind. She asked you not to come. She did more than that. I pulled out my phone and opened the voice memo app. The recorded conversations were crystal clear in the ballroom's acoustics. Madison's voice filled the space. Dad, you'll ruin everything. These people have standards. Gasps from the crowd. Patricia Richards looked like she might faint. These people have standards that we're just not used to. More gasps. Wedding guests were whispering, pointing. The story was spreading through the ballroom like wildfire. When they look at you, they see someone who couldn't provide for his daughter. Someone who failed. Derek's face was crimson with embarrassment and anger. She said that about you? There's more. I let the recording continue. Madison's voice explaining why I needed to leave town, why I was too embarrassing for the Richards family, why my presence would ruin her perfect day. By now, the entire ballroom had gone quiet. 200 people listening to the bride explain why her millionaire father was too poor and embarrassing to attend her wedding. That's when Madison saw me. She was walking toward our table, probably wondering why everyone had stopped talking. When she spotted me in my tuxedo, her face went through a remarkable series of expressions. Confusion, recognition, horror, panic. Dad? The single word carried across the silent ballroom. I stood up and walked toward her. Every eye in the room followed us. Hello, sweetheart. You look beautiful. What are you? How are you? Why are you wearing a tuxedo? I thought I should dress appropriately for such an elegant event. Madison's eyes darted around the room, taking in the shocked faces, the whispered conversations, the obvious drama unfolding. Dad, we need to talk. Privately. I think we've had enough private conversations, don't you? I gestured toward the head table, where Patricia Richards was still holding my evidence folder. Your future mother-in-law has been reading about my background. Turns out she's very interested in my business history. Madison followed my gaze and saw Patricia holding the Forbes article. The color drained from her face. Dad, please. Not here. Not now. When, Madison? When exactly would be a good time to discuss how you asked your millionaire father to leave town because he was too embarrassing for your wedding? The ballroom was so quiet you could hear the ice clinking in drinks. You're not a millionaire? I pulled out my phone and showed her my Charles Schwab account balance. $15.2 million in assets, clearly visible on the screen. Madison stared at the number for a long moment. Then she looked around the ballroom at 200 people watching her public humiliation. Why? She whispered. Because character isn't about what you have, Madison. It's about how you treat people when you think they have nothing. Derek appeared beside his new wife, his face tight with anger. Madison, is this true? Did you really ask your father not to come because you were ashamed of him? Madison opened her mouth, but no words came out. Patricia Richards stood up at the head table, her voice carrying clearly across the room. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet Robert Davis. MIT graduate, successful entrepreneur, and founder of Dataflow Systems, which he sold to Oracle for $50 million. He's also the anonymous benefactor who upgraded tonight's entire celebration. Applause started somewhere in the back of the room. Slow at first, then building as guests realized what they'd witnessed. Madison looked around at the clapping crowd, at her husband's disgusted expression, at her mother-in-law's disappointed face. Then she turned and walked out of her own wedding reception. I watched her go, feeling nothing but relief. For the first time in 18 months, I was exactly who I was supposed to be. The rest of the reception was surreal. Patricia Richards introduced me to everyone as the tech entrepreneur and Madison's remarkable father. Guess who'd ignored me at the engagement party suddenly wanted to discuss investment opportunities and business ventures. Derek found me an hour later, sitting alone at the bar. "Mr. Davis Robert, I owe you an enormous apology. You didn't do anything wrong. I married someone who was ashamed of their own father. That reflects poorly on my judgment. I studied my new son-in-law." Derek was genuinely distressed, not just embarrassed. "Derek, Madison isn't a bad person. She's just young and got caught up in appearances." "That's generous of you." "It's also honest, but generosity has limits." Derek nodded. "She's been trying to call you." I showed him my phone. 17 missed calls from Madison. I'd been sending them all to voicemail. What do I tell her? Tell her I love her, but tell her that respect isn't negotiable anymore. Derek left to find his wife. I stayed for another hour, making polite conversation with people who suddenly found me fascinating. On the drive home, I listened to one of Madison's voicemails. "Dad, please call me back. I know I screwed up. I know you're angry, but please don't shut me out. You're all I have left of Mom. I can't lose you too." The desperation in her voice was heartbreaking, but respect, once lost, had to be earned back. At home, I changed out of the Brioni tuxedo and into comfortable clothes. Then I sat down to write Madison an email. "Sweetheart, I love you unconditionally. But our relationship moving forward will be based on mutual respect, not your convenience. When you're ready to apologize sincerely, not because you got caught, but because you understand why your behavior was wrong. I'll be here. Until then, I need space to decide what our new boundaries look like. Love, Dad." I hit send and poured myself a scotch. My phone buzzed immediately. A text from Derek. "She's devastated, but she understands. Give her time to grow up." Time. That's what this had always been about. Madison would have to earn her way back into my life, and this time she'd have to do it honestly.